Jesse.
Hey Niles, really glad to be getting to talk with you again tonight. I'm Jesse, and this is Niles, our first featured limited experience artist, photographer from Austin, who has submitted a series of beautiful collages. And Niles, do you want to say anything about yourself or a little bit about the work before I start asking you questions?
Um, no, man.
All right, let's just do it. What would your ideal day be?
Ideal day. Oh man. Well, that's gonna be waking up somewhere between 9 and 10 a.m. Not too early. Having a good breakfast and some coffee, then heading out because I feel like staying in a little bit too late. I feel like my day hasn't really begun. So if I can head out and get some sun or some grass between my toes, and then we're off to a good day.
Awesome. That's pretty pleasant sounding start to a day. So it's like we're starting off with like a nice, comforting sounding experience. Are you afraid of death?
Um, can we define death? Is it
When you hear the question, what's the first thing that you think of?
like being killed?
Being killed. Like,
Yeah.
so like the suffering that comes with it.
Yeah, it's like losing a fight, getting beat up and you just don't come back from that.
Death is kind of like the quintessential limit experience. Limit experience is a philosophical concept that has to do with like the absolute edges of the human experience. Kind of death would be the most extreme version of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people have come close, but it's like this black vignette that kind of comes from the corner of your eyes. And when you can see like the full edges of it, then then that's the edge.
The borders of life are like kind of fuzzed out, like the borders of like a picture or something like that. Have you come close to dying?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Define ecstasy versus joy versus happiness.
I mean, ecstasy. It's like like joy that should be illegal to have. And then just plain joy, I'd say is a little bit more than happiness because you're getting a free meal, it makes you happy. But joy is something I think that it will make you do a little dance.
With ecstasy, it's like there's some sort of I've always thought of it as like there's some sort of impending loss, like either I'm gonna have to stop having this experience because I'm not supposed to have it in the first place, like there's something taboo about it, or because maybe like it's just gonna be over and it's something that's like so I don't know, it's so special to me that I can't stop thinking about the loss of it while it's going on the whole time that it's happening.
Do you know how when I guess you were little and you're hanging out with your friends and then your mom's like, all right, time to go.
Yeah.
And then she goes, time flies by fast when you're having fun. I
Hmm.
think ecstasy is when your mom never comes to snatch you away from your friends.
Describe the work you submitted in one or two sentences.
Hmm. Um, I just hope it doesn't get interpreted um, as using. Well, no. How do I say this? I hope that people can see that the work isn't about uh, something sexy. I hope they can see that that is just an attention grabber for something deeper.
Right.
Did you want to talk about one of the pieces in particular, just to have um, little blurb from
Yeah.
my perspective?
Do you mind if we talk about the one that I'm gonna feature in the zine on the card ass one, I think.
Oh, that one.
I think that's what I'm gonna feature. I want to be like smart about it though because they're they're so affecting. They're so good. And I don't want to like throw out the like wildest one like right away. I'm really curious about the breathing apparatus
Oh,
one.
right. So I built this. you know how like the old vacuums had like the suction attachment like separate from like
Yeah.
hose? Yeah, so I built one of those, and the idea is that instead of like breathing in oxygen, it's actually like sucking the air from you. I guess like what do you call it? Like a shop vac switched on backwards.
Yeah.
And the idea is that the asphyxiation is like turning a person on
Mhm.
instead of saving their life.
Wow.
And the person's in this chair, like a walking chair,
Mhm.
uh, because they're dependent on it.
These are such, I mean, I feel like when I look at those images, I feel like I've seen those images like for my entire life. It's like it's from another time. It looks like the person's being treated for some sort of in some like old timey medical situation.
I mean, and is a sexual addiction not old timey?
I honestly thought maybe they were appropriation. I thought maybe you had like found them and rephotographed them or something. I'm serious. Like they're just like they're really strange. Ever all of your work, I just every time I see it, I'm like, dang, it's like very piercing. Okay, so I mean, there's that one we just talked about. Um, Nom, that's the one that
Ah,
I was
right, right, right.
that one's really interesting. There's like drawing pussy. This the like the yellow coil thing going into the window. Is that part of the breathing apparatus setup?
Um, I saw that at the same time that I was building the apparatus.
Uh huh.
Somebody was like I think they were cleaning their bathroom or something, or like taking out a bunch of tile, and that was like an air suction coming from a truck. And so I took the photo on a Polaroid, and I was really inspired by some work from H.R. Giger, the guy who created the alien for the movie Alien, and how like things covering the mouth or in the mouth represent like uh like a sexual fantasy for being choked out,
Yeah.
and dependency, and how these aliens would cling on to you for life. And so the
Yeah.
smoking and the act of smoking through your face orifice and this hose going towards these women's legs are
Yeah.
not too, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's totally it's I mean, that's what it is. It feels as though like the breathing apparatus in that tube, they're like, they're functioning like they remind me of a body. They're like turning into a body or evoking body. And it reminds me too of have you ever looked at much of Pip Lottie wrist squirt?
No.
Okay, you should definitely look at her. I can't remember. She's one of my favorite artists, especially right now. She's a video artist mostly. And um she has this piece that is really explicitly about art being like body like or like devices becoming like physical processes. So like a body being like a representation of I don't know that like okay I'm getting scrambled but you could think of a body as a representation of all of these like experiences of the soul instead of thinking of like art as just a representation of the physical body. And she talks like in a really eloquent way about that relationship. Anyway, just like the body and bodily things being evoked in images I find really interesting right now.
Hmm.
And I think the concept of like breathing or like sucking with the breathing apparatus and that being related to like sexuality or sexual addiction or sex acts is really interesting too. You know
Yes.
and what I like about your work too, and this is maybe like real important for the limit experience idea too, is that you're just exploring sexuality, like you're exploring things that are difficult, but you're not coming with like a full answer of like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be like, and this is the kind of sex that I'm supposed to be having, and I was like this, and I'm like, it's not like there anything is resolved, and that's I think what make to me that's what makes it so good is that you're using the images for the exploration, instead of trying to have everything like somehow worked out and then make a representation of it as the art. To me, the way that you're doing this, that's what makes the kind of art that I like to look at. That's the only way that I could put it,
Oh, I
honestly.
know about yours. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I started this body of work in I don't know, November last year, and then I closed that chapter in February because I like that, like that's all that I could explore at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Sometimes you just like, I've been disappointed before, like when I have some really fruitful thing like that. But yeah, I've just had that experience too, like where I've had this like really fruitful thing going on, but it's also really intense. And then I'm like disappointed when it stops giving me the same, you know, like bearing the same fruit. Like, oh, I'm not constantly drawing images of Einstein fucking teenagers anymore. Oh, it was so sad when that day came. But then, I'm just like, I was too overwhelmed by it anyway. I have to just let it go.
Yeah, like I had come to grips with like where I am now, and I'm like, okay, like I think I've, you know, like like turned around and started something different now.
Mhm.
Um, and so like the work can stay as it is, or I can add to it. But I feel like that was a good like breadth of work that I put out that all follows the same theme.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just one more question because I'm just curious about this. Like when you do like an exploration like you did in these collages, that it's almost like a moral purging. Like it's really intense and you're exploring these things and questioning you clearly have a conscience, you're like questioning your own behaviors and desires, whatever. Um, and like I said, you just decide what you want to stay in and what you don't. I'm going to edit everything. Um, but do you find when you go through that kind of a period that after that, do you have like, is your work like brighter now
Mhm.
or cleaner?
Yeah, I've been working for the college, so definitely shooting
Yeah, you're shooting
more
sports, right?
things. Yeah, sports. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
Uh,
go to the game?
the football? No, we. I know we won, but I didn't go.
Yeah. Um,
Uh, Go Bobcats.
yeah, right.
That's really interesting. I really like how you said moral purging because like cutting up these collages, I had to go out and like seek these magazines.
Yeah.
I'm at I'm at the antique store. I'm like, hey, do you have any hustlers? He goes, yeah, you can have them for like 75 cents. And like back in the day, I'd go and like steal magazines from like, I don't know, half price books, rip out my favorite pages and take them home. So it felt like I was like revisiting
Uh-huh.
like who I used to be and like what has created me making these associations with women these days from what I did back then. But it seemed like I was doing it for good. But it was kind of difficult, because I've got these magazines like plenty of them, and I'm like being intimate with the photos and looking at them closely and trying not to, let them do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I do consider it to like I at least like I feel like I recognize it, right? Recognize something, because I've also done similar things, where it's like, and that would be related to the as one of the processes of art that I describe as around limit experience, where you have this limit experience, which may be the acts from the past or whatever, how you related to the images in the past. That would be the actual limit experience. And then the way that you're using art, which is also something that I've done, is you're like going back to that time, but you're safely removed and you're using artwork to like explore around that area again. Um, and I have definitely done that. It's interesting because you don't want it to be the same. Like you don't want it, you're not trying to have the experience again. You're trying to look at what happened without having the experience again.
Yeah, and like holding something back is what I'm hoping somebody will try to find
Uh-huh.
in the images.
Okay, holding something back. That's interesting too. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like I didn't censor anything because well, in a couple I did, but this one here that says nom, it's not censored because like the nudity isn't like the dirty part. It's like what do you do after you see it, you know, or how you begin to see people after that. That's like horrible. It's not the body.
Right, right. It's not the body itself is not the transgression. It's the behavior around the body and the way that you're relating, or the way that a person relates, the way that I would relate to another like being after engaging with those images.
Yeah, and avoiding censorship also like filters the audience in the right way because you know if I put 18 plus like on a little placard at my booth at my art market, um, it's not for kids because kids won't get it, right?
Right,
And
right.
so anyone who does come to check it out, it's it's they'll see that there's a bigger story behind it, and it's only for like certain audiences that could get that.
And also very rigorous. Like that's a lot of work to do. You like
Yeah,
that's like really, really rigorous work.
well, this is great.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm like, what have I decided? What have I done?